All right, hi everyone, and welcome to another Facebook Live. I am Earth Ranger Kyla, and I am joined here by my very good-looking coworker here. This is Linus the Harris Hawk. Now, before I get into exactly some details about Linus, first I want to tell you a little bit about Earth Rangers. So Earth Rangers is the kids conservation organization, and we're the largest kind of our kind in the world. We have over 200,000 members all across Canada of kids just like you that are interested in making an impact on animals and the environment. Now, as an Earth Ranger, there's tons of fun things you can do. You can get involved in our animal adoptions program, which is a fun way to have a direct impact on real-life conservation work by spreading the word and raising funds for species at risk. And some of those animal species that we are supporting that you can adopt through our app are things like the otter, the red fox, the red knot, and my favorite, the osprey. Now, you can also do some really other cool things like missions, which are eco-friendly activities that you can do from your house in your own community to make a difference. So those are things like planting a pollinator garden. They can be things like making bird feeders or even reducing your family's carbon footprint. Now, our animal ambassadors, Linus is getting a little bit antsy. He wants me to talk about him more. Our animal ambassadors are really important, and they usually are traveling all across Canada, teaching kids, going into schools, teaching everyone about how it's important to make an impact on our planet, reminding everyone that it's important to protect species just like themselves. Unfortunately, we can't get to all the schools across Canada at the moment, so we're coming at you here instead. So Linus still has a very important job, though. He still has to educate everyone about his species and why it's so important to protect them. Now, during this live, make sure you guys comment, give thumbs up, give hearts. If I ask a question and you know the answer, make sure to answer it. If you don't, I'll have to answer it, or Linus might have to answer it, and it'll be a little awkward. And there'll also be a lot of puns, so get ready for that. If you like the puns, give me a thumbs up so you show your support. I would love that. All right, so let's get into this. Linus is, like I said, a Harris hawk. Now, there's lots of different hawks we have here in Canada. There's things, the most people are familiar with red-tailed hawks, and things in Ontario like Cooper's hawks are really popular as well. But Harris hawks, you cannot find them here, and just stretching your wings out, lovely. You cannot find them here in Canada because it's a little too cold for them. So instead, they like to live in warmer climates. So you can find them in the southern United States in places like Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. And they also live in the Central and South America as well. And their favorite habitat happens to be deserts. So any kind of desert is where they thrive. So my first question I'm going to ask you guys is, what kind of challenges do you think there are in the desert that would make it hard for these birds to survive? Now, as you are answering those, I'll give you a hint as to one of them that's kind of a little bit obvious. One of them is the heat. So there's a bunch of different ones you can answer with other options you have, but the heat makes it very difficult for them. It's very hot in the desert. So one thing that Linus has that covered, well, actually uncovered, is these legs he has. So you can kind of see that Linus, his feathers only go down to about his knees. He doesn't like me talking about his knees. They only go down to about his knees instead of all the way down to his feet like other hawks. So it's kind of like he's wearing a pair of feathered shorts instead of pants. So that keeps him nice and cool in the desert. So what else? I'm going to look at our comments, see what other challenges. Absolutely. Sadie says not a lot of food. That is a great one. So in the desert, it's pretty hard to survive. There isn't a lot around. So one of the things that they do is actually they've adapted social behavior. So this helps them. They can work together and find more food. Now this brings me to my next question is, what do they eat? So while you're commenting on that, I'll give you a little hint about how they work together to catch their food that they would like to eat. So they can live in groups of up to 7 birds. Now, in these groups, they can be related or even not related at all. So it can be friends, it can be uncles, it can be cousins, it can be aunts. Well, I guess not really ants because they have to be hawks, so they can't be ants. But you know what I mean. So a whole bunch of different individuals will live together. Sometimes it'll be other individuals helping a monogamous breeding pair. So one breeding pair and then lots of other individuals to help them. And they all will work together to find their food. And I have a lot of people saying mice. Sarah's saying mice. Bailey's saying other birds. Chris is saying rabbits. That's absolutely correct. So they do love lots of rodents. Now, when he's hunting on his own, if he has to do that, he really likes mice. He likes little shrews. He'll even eat lizards, believe it or not. But when they're hunting together, it gives them a bit of a competitive edge, and they can hunt bigger things. So they can actually hunt rabbits and take down rabbits as a group. Now, how they do this, sometimes they just wing it. They have a few different methods, but other times they will actually hunt cooperatively. So one thing they'll do is take turns chasing prey so that if one gets tired, the other one can take over. That way they still get their tasty meal. Another thing they'll do is some of them will hang out on the other side of a bush while other members will chase that prey out of the bush so that the others that are waiting on the other side can catch it. So they really thought this through. They are very smart and very social. Now, another thing that in the desert, lack of water, absolutely, there is not a lot of water. The most of the water that they get actually comes from their diet. So those mice, if they're eating lizards or if they're eating birds, those have a lot of water in them. So they get most of their water from their diet, and they don't have to worry about having a big pool to take a bath in at all. Now, another thing that makes it difficult for them to live in the desert is the lack of perches, which I think somebody said, I think Lisa said, there's not a lot of trees, not a lot of things to hang out on, right? And birds being birds, they like to be perching. So they've actually adapted a really interesting behavior called back stacking. Now, it is literally exactly what you think it would be. So they will actually perch one on top of each other up to 4 birds high. And it's kind of like a little hawk totem pole. And they do that so that they can have a better vantage point of prey, of predators, and sometimes they just do it to kind of kick the hawk that's underneath out so that they can stand on that instead of the other hawk. So there is a hierarchy, and the females are the more dominant ones. So in a group, if there's 7 in a group, the oldest females are usually the boss. They dictate how they hunt, and they dictate who gets to eat first. So that's absolutely important to them. I have a question. Does Linus like baths? He actually does. Linus is a very clean bird. He doesn't like to get too dirty. Now you might notice he doesn't look the cleanest right now, but he just looks a little bit disheveled because it is molting season. So birds in the spring, just like the birds we see outside, they get all new feathers in the spring. And so that's why Linus is going through, you can see all his little chest feathers there. He is going through a nice molt right now. So his feathers usually look a little bit nicer, but we won't tell him that. Now, another thing that they do in the wild, in the desert, there's a lot of sun, right? So that makes it pretty difficult. It's really sunny all the time. And Linus here can't really wear sunglasses. They don't make sunglasses to fit him. So instead, he's got this furrowed brow. So if you look at his brow, kind of looks like he is grimacing at you. Kind of looks like he's a little bit angry, and he's seeing himself in the computer, and he thinks he's very good looking. Yes, you are, Linus. Now, that furrowed brow, although it looks like he's angry, he's actually not. He is very content right now, but it helps to keep out the sun. So it's called a supraorbital ridge. And just like if you go to a baseball game, the baseball players all wear caps to help the sun out of their eyes. That's exactly what that does for Linus. Now, he doesn't go to too many baseball games. He much prefers hockey. Give me a thumbs up if you like that one, if you got that one. All right, perfect. So I have a few questions here. Do they lose all their feathers at once, Lisa asks. So they don't. They kind of lose it within a couple months. They don't lose them all at once like a snake would shed its skin. There's a few every day, and during that time, new ones are actually growing back bit by bit. So just kind of like how we would shed our hair, or your dog sheds its coat in the spring, it's similar to that. So he's just growing new feathers every single day. Chris is asking, I love the grunting noises Linus is making. What do those noises mean? That is a great question, and my favorite thing about Linus is those grunting noises. Now, it doesn't mean he's happy, or sorry, it doesn't mean he's angry. It actually means he's happy. So because they're so social, they make those noises to communicate with other members in their group. Now, this particular noise that Linus is making is his thinking noise. So he's looking all around. He's wondering if there are any rabbits here. He's just thinking. So he likes to be very vocal about it. Let us know that he is, in fact, very smart and thinking about all kinds of things. And to sound like snoring, absolutely. It's a little bit of a snore, and he makes it pretty much all the time, especially when I'm talking, because he likes to talk instead of me. Now, another thing that Linus is great at is his eyesight. Yes, I know. And you wanted me to get to that, I know. So Linus actually has amazing eyesight. Most birds of prey have excellent eyesight. It's about 8 times better than our vision, and they can see colors really, really well. And Linus could actually read a newspaper headline from an entire football field length distance. So he can see across a football field to read a headline. That is if Linus could actually read, but he's just a hawk. We're still working on that. He'll be reading To Kill a Mockingbird in no time. That's probably going to be his favorite book, I can just imagine. So he's got excellent eyesight, and that's what he uses to find his prey. Now, another question I have for you guys, I see somebody asking about wings. So he can fly. Linus here, he's got beautiful wings. They are about 4 feet from tip to tip. So that's almost as tall as I am, which is pretty impressive. Linus absolutely loves to fly. Today he's a little lazy. He's just hanging out. He's happy to just sit on my glove. But when we do go to schools, he is one of those star birds that flies all across our audience. Now, I want you guys to guess how fast he can fly. You had to guess in kilometers. Think of like how a car would go. How fast do you think a bird like Linus could fly? Now, I'll give you a hint. He's not as fast as peregrines. A lot of us know peregrine falcons, the fastest animal on the planet, and they can reach speeds of 320 kilometers in a dive. Now, Linus is awkward, but he's not quite that fast. He does fly pretty fast, though, probably faster than you guys would think. And it's because his wings are very broad. So he's got big wings that are very broad and very wide. And those help him to soar on warm air currents. So that way he can save as much energy as possible. Now, Chris is guessing 941.5 kilometers an hour. That is very specific. And Linus is very, he thanks you because he definitely can't go that fast, but he would like to. I have Bailey guessing 70 kilometers an hour. That's another really good guess, closer. So when they're just cruising, looking for things when they're not soaring as much, they'll fly between 20 and 50 kilometers an hour. But when they are diving, kind of similar to how a peregrine would dive and catch food, these guys can dive and catch food as well. They can't go as fast as a peregrine, but they can go up to 150 kilometers an hour when they're diving. So they can go pretty fast. It makes him a pretty impressive predator. Now I see somebody, Diana's asking about their talons, and I'm so impressed that you know they're called talons and not feet. So you can get a close-up look of Linus's talons here. He has very sharp, which is why I'm wearing this glove, talons, and those are what he uses to catch his prey. So they're sharp and they are strong. So when he is catching his prey, all he has to do is grab out with those talons and hang on to it, and he kind of has like a fist, and then he rips it apart with that beak. So his talons are very powerful, probably one of my favorite things about them. Let's see if we have any more questions. Talked about his flying. What else? Oh, you guys are asking great questions. What about different kinds of snakes for what they eat? They can actually they've been known to eat snakes, Diana, very good question. They more prefer things like lizards because they're a little bit easier to catch. But if a snake is available, they are not picky. They will absolutely eat a snake if they can. Lisa is asking how old Linus is. That's a great question. So Linus, okay, I don't want you to be mad if I tell you your age. Oh no, he's happy. All right, Linus is 11 years old. So that might be older than some of you that are watching, which is pretty impressive. Now they do live quite a long time. In captivity, they can live between 15 and 20 years. And in the wild, they live a little bit less because of predators and diseases, but they live between 10 and 15. So Linus is 11, but he's still got lots of life ahead of him. He's a very young 11. And the oldest Harris hawk that was ever recorded in captivity was 33 years old. So hopefully Linus will make it to 33. That would be awesome. I have another question. Do males and females look the same? From Bailey. So they do, except that the females are larger. So in the bird of prey world, most of the time males and females do look exactly the same. And you wouldn't be able to tell with feathers. The coloring is exactly the same. The males aren't bright and colorful like songbirds, but the size is different. So females are about 30% larger than males. So Linus here, he's a good sized male, but a female would be even bigger. And that's because they need a lot of room. They have a very important job. They need room for those eggs that they hatch, that they lay, and they also are the boss, so they need to be bigger. So when they lay their eggs, they actually will work together. So it's very nice that these bird parents, they stay together. They'll lay between 1 and 5 eggs, and mostly the female will incubate them, but the male is always there to help. And the members of the group that they're in also help to defend the nest, to find food, and to keep everyone nice and safe. So they really play an important role all together. Oh, he's older than Joan, who's 7. He is 2 years older than Tasha. Oh my goodness, Linus, you're getting up there. You're older than most of the Earth Rangers. All right, I have another question from Chris. Do hawks eat the whole animal, and can they digest everything? That is an awesome question. Now, if you were watching some of our previous lives, we saw Gizmo earlier this week, I think, and Gizmo, Chris showed you his cast, so his pellet that he had, because he can't digest the bones or the fur. Now, Linus is similar. He can digest the bones, though, because he has a gizzard and a crop, but he cannot digest that fur. So he will eat the whole animal. He'll tear it apart. Usually doesn't eat it all in one big gulp. He uses that beak and those feet to tear it. And then he will cast up the fur or the feathers just like Gizmo does. But he does eat the bones too. Those dissolve. He's got very, very impressive stomach. Linus is an old man. Linus is a little bit of an old man. That's what Chris says. And you know what? He is kind of, but he's a very young old man. He's kind of got the noises of an old man, but he's got lots of life in him still. He is very energetic. It doesn't look a day over 9. Exactly, Linus, you are looking good. Now another thing about Linus here, we talked about his talons, talked about a little bit about his talking. Another thing that with their babies, they are usually with their parents for a few months of their life. So they will fledge and start to fly after about 40 days of hatching. And then after a couple months, they will go out on their own. But they will still be with their family for a few months, helping out. And then sometimes they'll stick around for subsequent years and help their family in that kind of group of birds. Or sometimes they'll go out and either join a new family group or be on their own for a little bit as well. So it's very variable. They do lots of different things. I have another question from Sadie. How much does Linus weigh? All right, so I've told you Linus's age already, so I might as well tell you his weight too. So Linus weighs, what were you this morning? About 800 grams. So that 800 is a big number, but grams is pretty small. So he's not even a kilogram. So he's very, very light. Now he has to be light so that he can fly. So Linus has really hollow bones. So if you think of a toilet paper roll, that's like this, it's hollow in the middle. That's exactly what his bones look like. And those are to make sure he's nice and light so that he can fly. He doesn't have to waste as much energy doing that. So I have another question. Does Linus have a special sister or brother from Joan? So Linus does not have a sister or brother here. He does have a good friend though. We have another Harris hawk here, and his name is Sunny, and they are great friends. Sunny's a little bit younger, not as experienced as Linus, but they are great friends. That's an awesome question. All right, so I think we are good with all the questions. You guys had amazing questions. Linus was very impressed. But I think my favorite thing about Linus, says Lisa, okay, this is a good place to end on. My favorite thing about Linus is, well, number one, the grunting. And number two, just how much he loves being a part of Earth Rangers, how much he loves going to schools, how much he loves flying in those schools and getting kids inspired. That's my absolute favorite thing about him. He is such a star. Now, I think Catherine's going to come in, tell you a little bit more about that app, the Earth Rangers app, and we will go from there.
All right, everyone. Hello, my name is Catherine, Earth Ranger Catherine. I hope you guys had so much fun meeting Linus. He is such a cool bird. But now I'm here to talk a little bit more about the app. So for those of you that have been here with us since the beginning watching our videos, I hope you guys already have the app downloaded and definitely have been taking advantage of that. But for those of you that are new to this, to these lives and want to get to know a little bit more about the app, I have got you covered. So this here is the, oops, that was my avatar. This here is the brand new Earth Rangers app. So the Earth Rangers app is where kids go to save animals. Now, it's free to join and you'll have access to a bunch of real world missions, like, for example, building backyard habitats or making forest-friendly crafts and even protecting marine animals from pollution. Now, also with our animal adoptions program, you will be able to directly support some conservation projects and awesome animals like our majestic polar bear and the adorable red fox. And we also have a ton of animal content on our Wild Wire blog, like top 10 lists, quizzes, and more. So if you go into the cabin here, and our Wild Wire blog is right there, and then you have access to a bunch of different activities as well. And when you join up, we will even send you a Earth Ranger card in the mail with your name on it. All you have to do is head over to Google Play or the Apple Store to download that free app and start your animal saving journey today. Now, don't forget, we also have our code ERLIVE. If you guys have not already plugged that into the app, definitely do that and take advantage of those free points that we are giving you. And now, while you're on the app, you could create your own avatar, you could earn points to level up, you could level up and you could get badges every time that you level up, and you could journey through Canada's awesome habitats on your quest to become the ultimate Earth Ranger. However, if you guys have been getting a little bit bored lately, or maybe you finished all of our missions on our app and you are the ultimate Earth Ranger, we also have got you covered on different activities as well. So every week we have been sending out to you via email some awesome new activities that you guys could do. So these could be different eco activities, they could be new crafts, new game ideas, all sorts of things. We have been sending these out to you. However, if you haven't been getting them, don't worry. We have also been posting them right here on our Facebook page, so definitely check that out every day. Every weekday, we have been posting on there for some new activities. And if you want to actually get them directly via your email, don't worry, we're also gonna post a link in our comment section, and you will be able to sign up for that to directly get those new activities weekly. But that about does it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed our Earth Rangers live session today. And don't forget to join us next week to meet some awesome new animals. But that about does it, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.